So, my guest today is Elias Curtis, founder and CEO of Transform Design. Elias has spent nearly 20 years in web design, branding, and marketing. But what caught my attention is where he's taken the agency lately. He's gone all in on GEO and AEO, generative and answer engine optimization. And on top of that, he brings a pretty unique lens on how he runs and builds businesses as a certified biblical counselor. Elias, very glad to have you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Noah. Appreciate it. And yeah, look forward to seeing what this
Yeah.
discussion will be like.
So I want to start with one of your, the big shift in your offering, which is AEO and GEO. First of all, what is it? And second off, for a business owner who spent years chasing traditional SEO, let's say, what do
Yeah.
you need to understand about how getting found is changing?
Yeah, it comes down to search, right? How people are searching online. Okay. So I mean, what's important is first being found online. Okay, that's where the traditional SEO is understood as, you create your keywords, you do your sitemap, you share all the pages are there so that they're indexed, and somebody can go on Google, Yahoo, and Bing and then just type in, look for a specific service or whatever you're looking for, and then your business will just come up on the list, right? And so that's, ranking. Uh, that's where rank comes in. Is very important to make sure all your keywords and all of that is there. But as we move into like the AI technology and everything like that, you have GEO, right? Generative engine optimization, and then AEO, answers engine optimization. It's feeding AI models data, right, based on behavior of what the questions are and giving the right answers in those models, right? So it just makes it a lot easier for people to find answers a lot quicker and more efficient than having to go through, let's say, search engines and just for specific things, because it's very competitive, as you know. And so you'll have
Yeah.
all kinds of businesses coming up and ranking, and so we're all pretty much, fighting for that top position to be found, right, or to be seen, if you will. But yeah, it's it's good stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, traditional SEO is still around. We still use that, uh, but we are very, very considerate of the changes that are taking place, so that we can make sure that all that information is
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
And I feel like there's also an opportunity for businesses as SEO has been around for a long, 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 long time now. Like
yeah,
since at least since Yahoo and Google kind of came up back in the day. And well, this is like kind of new, and it's an opportunity to kind of rank higher. And having businesses kind of
yes.
invest in it now just makes a lot of sense for them. Since how long has it been since people have been taking AEO seriously? Maybe like a year or so. What was your experience been like? I don't even think they're
Yeah,
taking it seriously today. Like,
yeah. It's still
um,
new and up and coming. It's still People are still wrapping them heads around it, right? Trying to understand. Okay, what is this thing? What do you do, and how does it work? And so yeah, there's a lot to learn there.
yeah. So, like, I'm curious from a technical perspective, like, how is it different from SEO? Like, if somebody wanted AEO optimization, would you just do regular SEO and the AI would kind of but like the answer engines would by default kind of pick that up as well? Or, what's your, is there like a different kind of approach you go about this compared to
Yeah,
SEO?
yeah. I mean, there's on-page SEO where you do internal linking, right? You're building, your credibility on your website, right? You're building the authority online through your website. Okay, so that's, of course, goes back to the keywords, but it's focusing in on, let's say, for example, the services you offer. So if you offer a specific service, like let's say logo design, then logo design has to be carried through the entire site and be very easy to find on your website. But if we're talking about AEO or GEO, this is where backlinking is important. Citations, okay, citations are underestimated as far as like the power on which they have online. For example, like if you have your business on different platforms across the web, so let's say you have it on like Upwork or Yelp or Yellow Pages, right? And you're building
Yeah.
reviews and activity on those platforms, AI
Yeah.
picks all that stuff up and it helps build up
Mm,
your data and your knowledge graph and builds a whole
so,
entire structure, so that also helps with visibility and ranking and exposure.
yeah.
So
I think it's different how, well, it is definitely different how humans and these machines kind of process information. So it makes sense how you'd need to optimize them in different ways to like rank correctly or more efficiently.
yeah.
And yeah, like I'm also curious, does this also apply to local businesses like AEO? I know SEO, whenever you want something, you say, barbershops near me, for example. Like, does the same approach work for these answer engine optimize? Like, does it like it makes sense for SEO, but does it make sense for local businesses to kind of adopt AEO the same way they did SEO?
Absolutely. I mean, it's data. The more information about your business, the better, right? Because the
Yeah.
thing is, online, there's like a compounding effect, if you will, right? And the same thing works in social media, right? So you have like, so what we do, and I'll explain that to you a little bit more. We build systems for businesses. Okay. And so what I mean by that is like we just don't do one service. We just don't do just a website, right? We build an entire system with the one mission and goal, and that's to grow a business and to scale and to get them results. So you have your logo, your brand, your websites, your SEO, GEO, then you have your social media. And for local businesses, you have, let's say service-based businesses, you have your locations, right? And then you have your online listings, which your business is listed across like, all kinds of channels and platforms to build up that
Yeah.
visibility. And so once the system is actually built, right, now we can actually market and send all the right traffic through those channels to your site to build up more ranking and visibility. So it's like a
Listen.
continual loop, if you will. And so
Yeah.
we keep
You
building
you
on that, scaling, building and scaling, right?
Yeah. You kind of answered a question I was going to ask you in a little bit, which was, um, a lot of people like tell you to specialize in a specific kind of narrow field, but you've gone
Right.
broad in branding, web development, SEO, and
Yeah.
everything. And I was going to ask, like, why do you keep them this wide? And do you want to elaborate a little further on what, because you
So
touched on it in your previous answer, yeah.
yeah, so a lot of it has to do with experience. We've been doing this for 17 years, right?
Yeah.
So my company's Transform Design. We literally do all these services from logo, brand, websites, and everything like that. But one of the biggest problems that we saw in the market was fragmentation, right? So when I sit down with any business owner and talk to them about their system, they're always missing something. They're missing lead generation, they're missing social media, they're missing, some branding component. And so there's fragmentation. So I mean, we experienced that with our own business. We suffered a lot of loss financially because of that. And so we already know how this feels. we already know how this works from a business standpoint. And so we're coming in there and saying, hey, we can build the entire system for you, have a strong, solid brand that people can trust because
Yep.
quality is a big thing for us, and then help with conversions and also uh, drive the right traffic. Because if our clients or even partners see results that they're looking for, then we can grow and scale together. So it's not just transform design or by ourselves and we just want to just do things on our own. No, we're helping everybody that we come in contact with and serve them that they may get the results that we get same results that we get as well.
Yeah.
So it works out.
No, it does, yes. And now I want to ask about your journey. Like you said, 17
Yeah.
years. How did you start off? Where did you start off in the beginning? What was the initial service you even started offering?
So I went to school for graphic design, not even web design, but I went to school for graphic design. So I enjoyed art, computers growing up, and I always had like a love for it. I just enjoyed doing it. And so I was like, all right, well, it was actually my father who put the idea out there and said, hey, why don't you become a graphic designer? And I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll go for it. So I went to school for it, and then I ended up being a graphic designer for a little bit in the corporate world, and from that point on, I was like, I felt like stuck, right? It's like, there's so much
Mm,
more to do, but I just don't think I want to just do this only. So I started
yeah.
opening up. the can, if you will, with like other things. So,
Yeah.
and then my wife and I started our company back in 2009, and we're like, yeah, let's go ahead and let's start this business, right? And then for the first 10 years, all we really did was design and print. Okay. But let's rewind just for a second. I was a
Yeah.
freelancer for a little time before we started our
Yeah.
business. But I was a
Mm-hmm.
freelancer at the same time I had a job. So I was doing both at the same time. And so,
Okay.
but the freelancing part, wasn't necessarily, paying all the bills yet, right? So I still have to be
But
responsible because I'm a husband and a father, right? And
yeah.
so when that transition to start the business came, it was rough that first 2 years. But then over time, we started to do very well because, there became more of a demand. That's when I started working on Elance. I started working on different platforms where I started
Yeah.
generating business and working with new clients. So fast forward, 10 years later after that, where it's just like design and print, we have our clients leaving to other companies doing stuff that we can probably be doing, right? So
Mm.
they're leaving to go get websites done. They're leaving to go get SEO done other places and marketing. So they're going to all these different companies, but they're also spending a lot of money with all these companies as well. And so we're like, okay, let's scale, let's expand our services. So we ended up adopting those services and doing it for ourselves. But the problem that we were facing, even over 5 years after that, so 15 years into our business, fragmentation again. We're like, okay, how does all
Mm.
these pieces fit together? And so as we started to piece it all together, we're still like, man, it's still difficult, especially if you got to do everything manual. Like I
Yeah.
can't just go into every social media account and post every single account, right? Or I
I
can't
get it.
just focus doing marketing on one business and thinking that, well, I could do 10 more businesses and do this the same way. So when AI integration came in the scene, I was like, wow, this is a game changer, at least for us. Okay. Because now we can automate everything, right? And I don't know if that's going to get
Yeah.
into your next question, but automation, AI powered systems, not just websites, but systems. We're talking from AI chat to automation to email campaigns to having a whole entire ran system doing everything for you in the back end. Well, let me clarify. I don't want to mislead anybody. Do most of the work while you still refine it or program the AI to do what you have to do for it because it still makes mistakes. Okay. It's
Yeah.
not one of those things where you build it and just walk away and you just forget about it. You still have to manage it. So
I
yeah,
see. You kind of keep answering my questions ahead of time because the next question I had was
right.
I know you run a lean shop and I wondered how you handled fulfillment across all that because like notoriously,
Right.
especially like these whenever you own an agency, it takes like a lot of time and effort and somebody needs to be there to kind of manage the complexity. And like you said, like AI, perhaps when it came out was ChatGPT 3, like the first version, like it probably couldn't do much, but like these days, like especially in web design, coding, does it still help in graphic design? I'm curious now, like what functions does it help you with? Of course, it manages email campaigns, like you said, but like there are specific functions in your business, and which
Yeah.
ones has it helped you out with, and which ones do you still have to like kind of pay attention to a lot more?
Well, I have a tailor-made stack that I use. It's not a one shoe fits all type of deal. So, you know, I- we still do some things that are manual. Design is one of them. Like we still, like I'll use AI for conceptualization to give me ideas on what direction we could possibly move in.
Yeah.
But I understand high quality design and what's timeless and what is high quality because the thing is, you want to build a strong brand that lasts, but you also want to build a
Hmm.
brand that people trust and they can get
True.
behind. But not only just get behind, but also know the messaging. Like, what are you talking about? What do you bring to the table? Like, who are you? So those kinds of questions. So AI helps with a lot of things. It helps with workflow. It helps with conceptualization. It helps with coding. It helps with automation. And so we use AI as a tool to do a lot of things that I would normally do manually, but no longer do it manually because of time, right? We only
Yeah.
have limited time. We don't have all the time in the world, right, to be working on a
True.
specific thing. And so, so being very considerate of time is an important part. but efficiency as well. Just because AI can do it
Efficiency.
doesn't mean it does a great job. Okay,
True.
so I still have to make sure that things are getting done exactly how they should get done. And more importantly than that, that our clients are satisfied. They're getting
Yeah.
results. Okay, because if we're not
Um,
meeting that goal, then we're just spinning our wheels
Usually.
and it's not working.
I had a conversation with another guest yesterday, and one of the things he mentioned was he's really worried because now you could do everything so fast. Especially he worked as a developer, and the thing he mentioned was like now you could do everything so fast, and if you take time on things, clients just will tend to complain. They would go like, oh, you could just like get AI to do it and whatnot, and then the quality of the work really suffers just because like the deadline and everything has crunched, and the only way to fulfill those deadlines is to really just not even like pay enough attention to like the work you're doing and just let the AI like do the stuff it needs to do and maybe like do a final like quality review. And
You know,
question I'm trying to ask is like how do you like manage client expectations and then tell them, hey, this thing needs to take time, is handcrafted, like what are your clients typically like whenever you, like I said, like take time on
right.
things, like yeah.
So I love our clients. It's a
Yeah.
big mixed bag, right? We have clients that are they're like, hey, I trust you, do the work. I just want to look at it. They look at it, they're like, hey, that's good to go. They move on and do what they do. I have other clients that like to be in the weeds with me. They like to literally be there, like, hey, I want to look at the SEO. I want to get into the design process with you. I want to get into the
Yeah.
automation. I want to access the accounts and I want to go ahead and do stuff on my own. And that's cool too, right? I don't push back on it. But at the same time, we have to know how to use the AI tool, right? That's going to be the difference between those who do well and those who do not. Do you know how to use tools that work? And when I mean by
Mm,
work, I won't get the results that people are looking for.
yeah.
So, and that's what it comes down to, right? Because in the beginning, I've experimented with so many different AI tools and so many different AI platforms. And I can tell you, I've gotten a lot of refunds because
Yeah.
a lot of those tools did not work as they
Yeah.
said they would.
So I think a lot of people just no longer fall for the hype anymore. I think
Yeah, there's a lot of hype out
I'm a
there.
lot more sensitive to whatever I buy now compared to how I was
Yeah,
when I first started
yeah,
out. So I do get where you're coming from on this side.
yep,
And kind
yep.
of the next track I want to pull you down is maybe not something we talked about so far, but I know you're very proud of the fact that you're a certified biblical counselor, and
Yeah,
you you're very passionate about that. And how does this influence how you run your business? Does it uh, tell me how these two things like kind of match together? How does your life look like, both being
yeah,
a church member and a volunteer, church volunteer, and also being like a business owner on the other hand?
yeah. I mean, they all go together, man. Right? Faith first, right? Family second. Work third. It's just I wouldn't be who I am today, or have anything I have today if it wasn't for the Lord, right? So He gets all the glory and the praise, right? The Lord Jesus. So when it comes to biblical counseling and discipleship, I mean, yeah, they overlap because you're working with people, right? You're working with people that are made in the image of God, right? I don't
Yeah.
separate my business, right, from my faith. Okay. And so a lot of what I believe and my values and so forth, they do carry over to everything that I do, especially if it's in a church context or a business context or family context. I am who I am in Christ, right? And
Well said.
so when you're dealing with people, it comes down to the heart. What is inside of me, right? Motivating me to do what I'm doing. So if the goal is to help clients to succeed, I do everything I can to meet that end, right? If
That's
I'm all
awesome.
about the money and I'm all about the profit, that's going to show too, right? That's going to come across like, oh, you just don't care about people, which
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
true. People don't care about
Yeah.
people. We know this, right?
Yep. Yep. people smell the salesman in you. Like
Yeah,
they can sense that stuff. Yeah,
right.
it's true.
And so a real test, right? Because we've been in this business for 17 years, right? So I mean, of course, faithfulness, commitment, discipline, all those things are good virtues and values. But it really comes down to agreement, alignment, and can we work together, right? Because I give everybody opportunity, say, hey, this is what we do, this is where we're going.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, yeah, what we're saying is great. There's a lot of people say, yeah, I want to grow my business. For example, if we're talking in the context of business, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
what does that look like? And so I'll test it out and say, okay, we can work together for at least a month. Great. Then we possibly work 6 months to a year because it's the big picture, right? Right. We have
yeah,
an eternal God who's eternal, that he's not confined by time. So I don't look at it like, all right, I'm just going to make this sale and then I'm going to leave this client alone. I talk to them ever again. That could be my attitude, but it's the wrong attitude if you're thinking long term as far as business. So it's really, can we work together in the long run? And what I mean by that is like, can we partner up with you and can we grow and scale together as a business? Or is this going to be this tension or animosity going on where you just don't believe what we're saying or just there's too many hiccups going on or obstacles? Then we're just not going to get there. So, I mean, we do vetting, we qualify prospects, man, and leads, and we're very like, are we aligned or not? And if we're aligned, we can work together. If not, then there's tons of other businesses that will get on board with whatever you want to do. And I don't have to get into all the theological stuff, but that's really what it comes down to, right?
yeah.
It's like if we
That's
can work together, great.
uh, that's really well said, I think.
Hmm.
And you're clearly someone with like a wealth of experience,
Hmm.
and you've been in the game for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
what did you say the freelance platform you started out in was? The other name for before Upwork got merged into
It was called, yeah, it was called Elance.
Elance. And so, compared to then, like, what does it take to like succeed in the market now? Like, what does a market demand? If you what's different and what's still the same?
So, the freelance, I mean, it's depends on your goals, man. Like if you just want to work for
Um,
yourself and
just,
not,
yeah, just to
go ahead.
clarify, not just freelancing, but also like scaling your business, kind of moving forward and kind of being more independent and building something for yourself. I'm curious, like what does a market need from
Okay.
individuals or people who are entrepreneurs, I think is a word.
Okay. So your audience I'm talking to are possibly startups, people starting off for the first
Possibly,
time.
yeah.
What's that look
Starting
like?
off, the
Okay.
majority of the people are like that, yeah.
Okay. Well, first we got to define what we're saying here. Okay. So if we're talking freelancing, that is totally different than a business. Okay. So we
Yeah.
have to understand there's a distinction between the two. So if we're talking freelance, that's literally you're by yourself and you're getting projects to work on. You have the pricing, you can sell whatever works, right? So if you're in some kind of business where you're able to freelance or work remote, for example, if you're out there and you're selling a brochure, okay, that means you've got to design the brochure, then you have to print the brochure and have it shipped and delivered to the client. Okay, so you got to find out what pricing model works best for that. Okay, so when we first started, our pricing was at a low. It was low because we wanted our services to be affordable to everybody. But as you become more valuable in the market, as far as the quality work that you do, then that pricing should go higher and higher over time. So you're bringing more and more value to the table, and then you can price higher and higher and to bring more value. Now that's freelancing. Okay, freelancing
Uh,
again, it's just you. Okay. And
yeah.
if you could make a living freelancing, great. You know your bills, you know your expenses, right? If you're making a living doing freelance, is great, right? But a business is a whole different thing. We're talking about revenue. We're talking about perhaps a team that you work with, people that you pay. So maybe you'll have payroll, right? And you can scale, meaning that you can grow way beyond yourself. Okay, that's what a business is, right? It's entirely dependent upon you, right, to run a business. And one day you can possibly sell it. let's say 10 and 20
Yeah.
years down the road, you've done very well in the business and you decide, well, I want to go ahead and sell this business. Or you can pass it down to your kids if you have children. The option is yours, right?
Yeah.
These are the ways you have to think about it. So for somebody that's listening on the podcast, it's like you're going to start a business, then you start to have to think about revenue, expenses, understanding terminology, profit and loss, right? You got to understand,
Yeah.
how it all works as far as structure and building a system and how the system
Yeah.
works for you, especially with AI technology. So hopefully that helps.
That's a perfect answer, yes. And uh that covers pretty much everything I've got on my end. Is there anything you want to close with, or should we kind of wrap it up here? What do you say,
Yeah,
Elias?
I mean, there's always something to talk
To
about,
say.
man. And so,
Yeah,
I mean,
there
hey,
is.
if we ever need to do a part two, I'll be happy to do it.
Awesome. Awesome.
But
And
yeah,
it's been
it's good.
all right. It's been amazing talking to you. One of the best guests I have had, Elias. And hopefully we have a part two.